sometimes it's a bit strange. Close my eyes, start the meditation. There's not that many people in here. When I open my eyes, so many people have just manifested. Where do you all come from? It's just like the good old days before COVID. It's about people sometimes on a Friday night, so welcome. So now is the opportunity for me to give a talk. And it is honest that I don't plan what I'm going to talk about, which is wonderful. So I'll pick it up from each one of you, just what is appropriate. And it is, I did start just before the meditation with a little video for a group over in India who's working really hard. And it's an opportunity just to remember that this is just the last Friday night talk for a few months while the monks and nuns go on retreat. The whole idea of retreat, we're not going backwards, retreat, but we can't really call it advanced. We're actually just not going anywhere. We're just staying still. This whole idea of trying to improve yourselves. Actually, this idea of like self-improvement, just what a weird idea that possibly is. What's wrong with you? You don't need to improve. There's already a negativity there. We're thinking, oh, I'm like this, I'm like that. Imagine you could actually think you're good enough. That you're actually perfect. You know enough. You know you're healthy enough. You all get a bit of sickness every now and again, but just imagine you thought to yourself, this is good enough right now. And I don't need to improve. What a wonderful thought that would be. Because it'd be you're at peace, at least with yourself. Other people might disagree with you. You should improve, you should do better, blah, 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 blah. How much better do you have to do? If you believe other people, please excuse me, but if you believe your parents, you're never good enough. You'll always do more. It's a weird thing that I was doing really well at school, and my parents were very poor. Just a council flat, not a house, even a council flat in London. And I do remember many old stories from that time. I remember just people knocking on the door and saying my father hadn't paid the rental for something or other, and they took it away. At least they didn't take me away, which was... But anyway, it was quite a poor place. But nevertheless, that he managed to work hard because I thought my parents were sacrificing so much for me. I should work hard. I made them proud. And I did really well at school and got into this very nice school. And then I thought, wow, I can relax now. I said, no, you have to work hard. You can always do better. So for my whole life at school, I was always doing better. Until I realized, how much better do you have to be? Until you realize that many people, their parents, their teachers, they always wanted them to do well in life. But sometimes that pressure of trying to do well in life is just messing up people. How much do you need to do to get the love and respect of your parents? The love and respect of your friends and your teachers? There comes a time when you realize, no, this is good enough. If I try and do even better, I'm just going to get even more stressed. So this is me, this is who I am. So mum, dad, world, everybody, take me as I am. So then you can really be peaceful. The weird thing is, though, when you start to relax, instead of trying to fulfill other people's expectations of you, you do so much better. Because you're not afraid. It's almost like who you are is what you're expressing. And so little by little in life, instead of trying to be someone we're not, to fulfill other people's expectations, we start to feel comfortable in our own skin, comfortable with our own intelligence, skill base, whoever we are. And you know that when the people feel comfortable, sometimes the word they say these days is they feel authentic. And they come across as authentic. They're not trying to prove anything, not trying to show off. They're not trying to... And in fact, I was just saying today, earlier, just be humble. I am a very humble monk. But I always say to people, if you are humble, make sure other people know about it. What's the point of being so humble if people don't know? So I mentioned a few years ago that I'm going to ride off to the Guinness Book of Records to be the most humble monk in the world. I love little oxymorons like that. You know, you can't sort of... But anyway, it's like feeling comfortable. And that's actually what we really do in a retreat. It's not to try and attain what you haven't attained, except for attain some peace and comfort. To learn just how to stop all this trying to improve yourselves. Just think like a tree in a forest thinks, I'm going to improve myself now the rain has come. I'm going to grow faster than that tree next to me. Do you think trees have stress like that? No, the tree just grows as much as it wants to. It grows according to nature, not according to like other people's plans. Or just like when you have a garden. It's a big ceremony on Sunday down at monastery, so a lot of times people, they like to offer flowers to the Buddha. I don't know why they like to offer flowers to the Buddha, because if you offer flowers to the Buddha, I'm the one who sits closest to them and I get hay fever. That's why you all know my favourite flower, if you want to offer a flower. What's my favourite flower? The only one I'm not allergic to? Cauliflower, yes. So anyway, so little by little, instead of trying to improve ourselves, we learn how just to accept ourselves as we are. And that's the whole purpose of Dhammaloka retreats, to relax. You know that sometimes people often say that giving public talks is the most scary thing you can possibly do. I just don't get that. I just give lots of public talks. I enjoy myself. You know why? Because you're never trying to prove yourself in front of people. Such a long time ago, I realized that if you give public talks, if you're really good at it, it's wonderful. You can share so much information and knowledge to so many other beings. But if you're really bad, if you're terrible at giving public talks, that's even better. You don't have to come on a Friday night to Dhammaloka. You can just relax in your monastery and just be. In other words, you're not trying to get something out of whatever you do. Just doing it for the love of doing it, like a flower would bloom just for the love of blooming. But on that point of like a flower, that somebody told me the first year I came here to Perth, so many years ago, 36, 37 years ago now, is have you ever seen a flower just before it bursts into, the blossom, whatever it's called, bursts into flower? It's like a little bud. And if you can watch that bud, it gets, in this sheath, it gets so tight, as within that sheath, which is supposed to be protecting it, all the little petals, the beautiful, fragrant petals inside, are growing and growing and growing, and the pressure is building up. In that sense, it must be very unpleasant for that time. But then there comes the point of catharsis and of change, and the flower blooms, and it's gorgeous. Somebody was saying it's like a lot of times there's, like, I won't even call it pain, but it's like pressure, there's a lack of ease, there's things to worry about. But in all of those times when there's things to worry about, things to concern you, that there comes that time when a flower is blooming, and great insights and wisdom and kindness and wonderful things happen to you, all coming just from the pain before the blossom. And I like that because it's true. Certainly true to my life. certainly true to what I see in other people. So if there's any discomfort which you have, any disappointment you have, anything in your life which is not going according to plan, wonderful. There's a blossom coming out soon. So just wait for it and be there and see this beautiful insight which comes afterwards. This lovely freeing insight, understanding, real wisdom. So little by little, we look at life in a totally different way. And even just the idea of like going on a retreat, just living even more simply, not traveling, not doing so much. You know, if you go to our monasteries, there's quite a few now, always, we work hard. And that's true if you ever go and notice the days of the week which we're working, which is, I usually work 7 days a week. If there was an 8th day, I'll probably fit it in somehow. You work. I don't know that it's my training. I usually get up really early in the morning. Honestly, at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock usually. It's rare I get up later than that. And you work as much as you can, helping, serving, sometimes taking a rest, meditating. The idea of meditating is a beautiful way of just learning how just to do more. By being more efficient with what you do. That's one of the things in our modern world that I see, that people, they really work hard, but they don't know how to work smart. Working smart means when you're tired, take a break. And then you go back to the work afterwards, and you find you get more done. And I can put my hand up, you can come and see all the stuff which I've done in monasteries and stuff. And you can see just how much work happens and how it's good work and how you build up just monasteries and nunneries and Buddhist societies and care groups and stuff. I didn't do much for the care group, just giving a few ads every now and again. But it's still, you see just how much has happened. And quite honestly, there's a couple of people here who should be at Bodhinyana Monastery coming in moonlighting. But do I look stressed? You better say no, otherwise you're going to get... No, you're just having a nice, peaceful, happy time. A lot of time because you know how to work. One thing at a time. Here's this story I said recently to somebody. This was a gentleman came to Bodhinyana Monastery a few years ago. And he was from Sydney, a very successful person. And he said he owed the reason for his success to a visit he made to northeast Thailand many years ago. He heard the reputation of my teacher, Ajahn Brahm. He's passed away quite a few years now. But he remembered sort of he knew the reputation of Ajahn Brahm, so he thought he'd go and visit him. It's not such a simple thing to do, even in those days. You get a flight to Bangkok, and Bangkok, you get a flight to Ubon. From Ubon, you've got to get a taxi. That's the only way to get to Ajahn Chah's monastery, because monks and nuns would like to live a bit out of the way. It's nice and peaceful in the forests, which means it's difficult for people to get to. But, a lot of times people go there because once they get there, it's a peaceful place. People love just going to a forest to hang out, because even without listening to anybody, they can feel some peace there. So anyway, went all that way, and once he got to Ajahn Chah's monastery, once he got to the place in the monastery where Ajahn Chah was, you can imagine how disappointed he felt when there's about 100 people surrounding Ajahn Chah, all asking for pretty silly things, just like a blessing, or, some holy water. The holy water, Ajahn Chah would not usually give this holy water, this blessing water. But I always remember one time, when a major general in the Thai army came to see Ajahn Chah and demanded holy water. Now, in Thailand, the military is incredibly strong. So what did Ajahn Chah do? He said, I haven't got any holy water. He said, no, I want some holy water. So Ajahn Chah said, come over here. And he asked, this actually happened. I thought that my teacher had gone a bit too far this time. Many times I thought he went too far, but this time I thought, no, this is really far. He said, come over here, bend over your head. And once he had enough saliva in his mouth, he spat on the general's head, and then with his hand rubbed it in. Oh my goodness, that's the end of Ajahn Chah. But he did it with such beauty and kindness. The general, he said, I'm the only one I've ever got any of this really strong holy water from Ajahn Chah. And he loved every minute of it. He went back, sadhu, sadhu, I've been really blessed. You know, how blessed can you get? My holy water. Ajahn Chah got away with it. My holy water story. Do you want to hear my holy water story? Not with a general, but something even more dangerous. We'd done an all-night meditation. You know, we used to do those really often in Thailand. Meditating all night. And, you know, it can be good practice sometimes. So in the morning, once it was dawn, I went out to go to the toilet. Now this was in the jungles, okay? So in the jungles, yeah, there are toilets there, but you just go in the bush. You squat down, you know, the Asian style, squatting down to go to the toilet. Now, please remember that it was just early in the day, you know, it was like just after dawn. So there wasn't much light in the sky. And number two, you know, I've been meditating all night, I was really tired. So when I squatted down to urinate, I really thought, my perception was that I was urinating on a stick. And then the stick started to move. And I thought, oh my goodness, I was just urinating on a snake. It was a dangerous snake. Actually, they're all dangerous. And I often mention to people, please excuse me, the most sensitive part of my male body was about that much from the snake's mouth. It was dangerous, it was scary. But did the snake bite me? Of course it didn't. Because even the snakes in Thailand appreciate the value of holy water. From a good monk. Not many snakes get blessed with holy water that time of the day. That's a true story, that happened. Like all these other stories I say, just move my legs. But anyhow, that when you listen to nature, instead of trying to change it, and it means your own nature as well, the way you relate to the world, imagine how much you can learn. Many people, again, self-improvement, and sometimes that's, haven't you got enough stress in your life? You want to improve yourself as well. And so after a while we realize, no, I'm just going to understand myself, not to improve it, and learn to, very radical idea, to love yourself. To learn how to open the door of your heart to who you are, with all its faults. Now, that might seem, oh yeah, I can understand that, but it's the opposite of self-improvement. It's self-appreciation, self-embracing. So many people, when things go wrong in their life, they think there's something wrong with them, something they're missing. It means they can't do things anymore. They can't. Oh, what was that story about that man who was an artist? And the artist, you know, he had a motorbike accident, and you know, he came out of the anaesthetic in the hospital, and they'd had to amputate his hand. That was his painting hand, and that was just how what he did in his life. He lost his painting hand, and he got so depressed. He never really told too many people. He said, as soon as I can, I'm going to commit suicide. So he went up one of the towers in St George's Terrace, found an empty office, went on the balcony, was about to jump off, when he saw on the street, St George's Terrace, that's the main street in Perth, he saw this man just dancing up and down the street in joy and happiness, and the man had no arms at all. There he saw a man with no arms at all, just dancing along the street with happiness. And he thought, I've only lost a hand. That fellow has lost both arms and he's so happy. So he gave up all idea of suicide. And he just ran to the elevator, went down as soon as he could, and ran after the man to thank him. Gave him a big hug. Thank you, you saved my life. And he told him his story, losing his painting hand and seeing this guy had no arms at all and was dancing up and down for joy. And the armless man listened to him patiently and said, Sir, I wasn't dancing up and down for joy. My bottom is very itchy. That's the only way I can scratch it. Someone's... That's logical. So I'm just going to put something under my bottom. Oops. Very good. So sometimes, to learn how to love yourself, and the reason I tell jokes is I can't stop myself. This is who I am, you know that. This is Ajahn Brahm. And I once gave a talk to the monks over in Serpentine many years ago again, and I think Ajahn Sujato was there and he was recording it, and he chose the title for this talk, Why Ajahn Brahm Tells Bad Jokes. It's there in the monastery somewhere. And then the reason is because my father used to tell bad jokes. He'd always be coming home telling silly jokes all the time. And sometimes we didn't know what was a joke, what was real. Just like with me. So it's just conditioning, that's all it is brainwashing. But anyway, just when you learn how to love yourself, it means learning how to love yourself like a mother loves her child. Accepting, that's my kid. And you're always proud of your kid. Even if the kid is a bank robber, the mother would say he's the best bank robber in the whole of Australia. And sometimes I've seen that, and it's just really quite endearing. The mother, yeah, and sometimes they'd criticize the kid. Sometimes they'd tell him off. But they would just love your child no matter what they do. What a beautiful thing that is. And if you haven't seen that with a mother, look at that with, like, please excuse me, like with a dog. A dog will love you, will always wag the tail when you come home. Will always be very kind to you. And even if you're in a bad mood and kick it or something, but please don't ever do that, they would forgive you straight away. You try and, you kick your husband or you kick your wife. They don't forgive very easily, do they? Why not? Again, it's just that lack of kindness which people have. And especially the kindness to themselves. You make a mistake and very often people just have this sense of guilt. And the guilt can sometimes be, like stopping themselves enjoying life and being happy. They think they don't deserve happiness and peace. And that is a huge thing which I've seen in many, many people, which stops them, enjoying, say, a monastic life or life in a nunnery or life anywhere, simply because they are acting not out of self-love, but out of almost like self-hate. I'm not good enough. I could have done better. I don't deserve success. I don't know if you've noticed that in your life with some friends. Again, one of the advantages of being a monk is that people do open out to you. They tell you some of their secrets, they tell you some of the things they got up to. Oh, what was it? One of the ladies years ago, I was counselling her with, she had cancer, she was dying of cancer. And so, she wanted a bit of Buddhist help, so every Friday she'd come a bit early and I'd spend maybe 15 minutes with her. And one day, once I realised that, he'd established the trust, I said to her, just, okay, now I've known you for a while now, what's the worst thing you've done in your life? Because it's nice to be able to tell somebody that. Just admit it, just open up, instead of trying to hide things. And it took a while for me to get it out of her, but she actually told me, I promised her that I wouldn't tell anybody else, but I've told so many thousands of people. But it didn't really matter, because I'm sure that she would be happy with this. She said after, she was very embarrassed about it, and she said, oh dear, okay, here it comes, that, even though I was married, I kissed another man. I kissed him. And I looked at her. And she was married. She kissed another man. I said, is that all you did? She said, that's all. I said, my goodness, in 60 or 70 years of marriage, that's a pretty good record. I can give you that one. And when she actually told me, I realised that once it was out there, it was put in perspective. And she realised that what she was so afraid of wasn't that big at all. Yeah, don't recommend that to anybody. But nevertheless, it's not a big thing, which she did. And she felt sorry for it afterwards. And I realised, why is it that when people actually do some bad things, why is it they exaggerate it way too much? And on the opposite end of the spectrum, you all know that story about the two bad bricks in the wall, and how we just focus on the faults and want to destroy the wall. In this case, we want to destroy ourselves. That book, the two bad bricks, or rather the opening the door of your heart, because we've been around a while and we just go to all sorts of places, that book found its way to Carnot Prison Farm, just around the corner from my monastery. And over there, I never met this fellow, but apparently he's going around saying, it's only 2 murders, only 2 bad bricks in the wall. There's so many other people I met I didn't murder. Keep it in perspective. And if I met him, I'd say, yeah, well done. So you acknowledge your faults and be honest about them, and realise even if it's like 2 murders, does that make you a murderer? Of course it doesn't. That's the stupid thing of our life. 1 act, 2 acts, 3 acts can define us, who we are in our life. And is that who we are? There's this other gentleman, I better not mention his name, but I just was told about him again, that he's having a wonderful life, just really doing very well. Married a very nice Filipino girl, and he's just a beautiful fellow. But he was in the prison, and that we needed, on this occasion, I forget why, we needed a cook for a 9-day retreat. And, he's a good cook, but he was in jail. And so we asked the prison authorities, can he come on just like day release for 9 days to cook in the morning? And so he did. And he was one of the best cooks. Bianca's a really good cook, but I'd actually put my hand up to say he was better. He was a brilliant cook. He did it all by himself. And the one thing which I was really impressed with, he would make pizzas. Just with the flour, he'd make his own sort of dough himself, only in 2 or 3 hours. Make it on. There's about at least 60 people on the retreat, but with everyone else there, maybe 70 or 75 people there. And he'd make it so incredibly delicious, like fresh, every morning. I was so impressed with him. And so was everybody else. He was really kind and generous and always very helpful for people who needed special ingredients. They couldn't have this, they wouldn't have that. And then it was only the end of the retreat. I didn't dare say that at the beginning of the retreat. When I said, where did he come from? He's in jail. What's he in for? I don't know, it must be something that's very small. No, it's actually for something very serious. Rape. When I told people that, Ajahn Brahm, what have you done? I've given you a teaching. I trust that fellow. I know he won't do that again. And he hasn't. I gave him a chance to show himself. And he showed himself beautifully, wonderfully. Well done. If I'd have said why he was in jail, then straight away people would have, ugh, I'm leaving this Buddhist society. But instead, you let him do the job, and he did this amazing job, just to show how we can judge people so harshly. And obviously it's a terrible, terrible, terrible thing to do, and there's an amount of suffering, but can we actually find a way out of that? And he has. Well done. And that's just that man. What about you? What have you done in your life? Then, after a while, look, I said this at a talk I gave to some at a dana the other day. I don't know how many, sort of especially women, have had abortions. You gone quiet when I said that word. Why go quiet? I mean, sometimes, it hurts. A being is growing in your body, and you are literally between a rock and a hard place, and you decide to abort. And I know, because I've talked to so many women who've been in that problem, that situation, I know that I've never met one woman who takes that decision lightly. They just toss and turn over it for a long time. And sometimes I think, how can I judge anybody? I'm a man. I've never been pregnant. So what role of men to actually understand that decision making? Zero role. But who makes all the laws and the judgments? Men do. So the men butt out. And when I listen, and of course, learning how to really be peaceful and listen to people, listen to a woman describe what she did and why she did it and whatever. I can't so judge them at all. So for goodness sake, let that one go. Be a bit more careful next time, or whatever. Sometimes you're careful as you possibly can be. Mistakes happen in life. But for goodness sake, don't sort of punish yourself. Don't be guilty, because otherwise you have all these women there, when I say that word, that people just are very silent. There's still pain in there. Loving yourself, one of the things is to allow yourself to make mistakes. To realize there's nothing wrong with making mistakes in life. And what comes behind that is the real way we self-improve, not by trying, but just by learning to let go, to love, to forgive, and understand why these things happen. And that understanding which we get from silence, from peace, from listening, that understanding is just so wonderful. It realizes, it's okay to make mistakes. And our job is actually to learn from mistakes. If we didn't have mistakes in life, where would we have any learning at all? But in order to use those mistakes as places where we grow, you always have to have the honesty. That is a part of life. We're dishonest. No, I never did that. No, it's not my fault. No, I block it out. Even block it out, denial is dishonesty. So just let somebody know. Let yourself know. And then when you're honest, number one, you find it's not so bad as you thought it would be. And number two, once you're honest, you can understand why. Once you're honest, and you sort of allow these things to be seen clearly, we can grow. We can grow and become a much better person. We don't need to sort of feel that there's something wrong with us. We're stigmatized. There's something terrible about us. It's a stigmatization of oneself which stops love happening. Okay, this story, I don't know why I keep telling this story, but it's such a beautiful story. I love it myself. The story of the old trees in the forest. There's not one perfect tree in a forest. I've walked around Bodhinyana Monastery. You may have walked around other forests around Perth. You may live in a forest. You ask any parrot, any kookaburra, any... I'm sure they've never seen a perfect tree. Every tree is crooked. Every woman is crooked. Every man is bent and twisted too. And that's actually quite reassuring. Because you probably know that you're crooked, twisted, bent, damaged, faulty. But when you see your own faults and mistakes and you realise that everyone else has got those faults and mistakes too, there's a sense of belonging. In this world, in Buddhist cosmology, this world is a place of learning, of growing. You don't expect people to be perfect here. You're not perfect here. Ajahn Brahm's not perfect here. But we can learn and grow. And a wonderful sense of freedom. You mean I don't have to be perfect? Really? Wow, now I can relax. And I can learn how to love myself. And learn how to relate to others. So little by little, when we allow mistakes to happen, we learn from them. We grow from them. There's a much greater sense of happiness in this world. And that is actually where self-improvement happens. Not when you're trying to improve. You're wasting your time. You're just getting more stuffed up inside, more guilty, more tense. It's, that Bodhinyana Monastery, you're allowed to make mistakes. Then monks don't make so many mistakes. If we had rules, no one is allowed to make mistakes. You have to be at the kitchen for the breakfast during the rains. If you're not, right, you're in big trouble. You're not allowed to talk during the rains. You're not allowed to do this. No, oh my goodness me. What does that feel like? And does that actually lead to any sort of growth or spiritual sort of blossoming? Absolutely not. But when you learn how to allow yourself to be with all of your idiosyncrasies and be sensitive to listen to yourself and listen to life, listen to the people you meet, it becomes almost impossible to do anything which is harmful or hurtful. This is my 46th year as a monk now. And there's so many rules which I have to keep. And all those rules which I have to keep, people say, Ajahn Brahm, don't you get tired of keeping rules? Don't you really feel that, maybe just once you can have Saturday night off? No, not at all. Because the rules are just common sense to me. It's just me relaxing, being honest, being kind, living simply. I can't understand why anybody would want to live anything else. Like a nice, simple, nice, kind life, peaceful. Why not? I'm enjoying it. So all those rules are just nothing which is a burden at all. And if you break a rule, you just let somebody know. A lot of the time you don't break a rule. Actually, just the other day. Shall I confess it to you, what I did? Yeah, okay, here we go. Just last Wednesday, somebody offered a gift to me. Actually, you were there, weren't you? At the dana, yeah. Offered a gift, and on the tray, you know what was on the tray? No, not money, then. Johnny Walker whiskey. It's only a tiny bottle. I said, what are you offering that to me for? I don't know why. But anyway, I was laughing my head off and just gave it back again. Can't do that to monks. Take it away. But anyway, so when you have the humour with that, you don't tell people, don't ever do that again. I'm not going to come to your house ever more. You're just a bad Buddhist. I'm going to take away your membership. I'm going to never allow you to come on a retreat again. Now imagine you do that. I think you can relate to when people get very angry and upset at you like that. What does that do to you? Does that make you a better person? Or when you say, you just made a mistake there, misunderstood, okay, take it away. So when you look at life with a bit more kindness, when you love yourself and love others, I don't know how anyone can love others if you don't love yourself. You're just playing around. If you really love yourself, at peace with yourself, this is who I am, and you're kind to yourself. Yeah, you make mistakes and faults, but you admit them, you realize them, and then you just allow yourself to grow from those mistakes, to blossom forth like that bud of a tree. And little by little that makes you so peaceful. You listen to the world and see, even the animals, they all make mistakes. I can never forget just walking through the forest at Bodhinyana once, and a couple of kangaroos, they're not afraid of the monks, they were just jumping away. And one of them fell over. Have you seen a kangaroo just jumping along and they fall over, they step wrongly? And that kangaroo was so embarrassed. He looked at me, and you didn't need to be a psychic power to read its mind. He said, "You never saw that, did you?" I said, "Well, kangaroos are not supposed to sort of fall over." But it did. Just very cute. So everybody makes mistakes from time to time, even kangaroos. But then what happens is we realize, welcome to life. And you can fall over too. And which means that then you don't get this terrible negativity towards yourself and towards others. Even, of course, I've never been married. I had relationships before I became a monk. But even you see that sometimes it's, you do some marriage counselling to a couple of people, and then you hear the guy first of all, and hear all the stuff which the wife does wrong, and doesn't do this and doesn't do that, and just always argues and blah, 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 blah. Then I listen to the wife telling about the husband, blah, 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 or does this, doesn't do that, and just so selfish and doesn't really listen, blah, 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 blah. And then when they're finished, I said, look, you really, both of you, I don't know why you, but anyway, you both just got so many faults in you. You both got so many faults, I think you're a match. Why is it? We look at the faults in the other person. We don't realise we got those as well. You can see the faults in both of you, and you can smile at them. And you find that just, instead of telling a person you must do better, just, okay, that's good enough. I can love you for who you are. The door of my heart's open to you with all that stupid thoughts. Then you find actually those thoughts start to disappear. Weird. But it's true. If you really focus on the thoughts, actually you make them grow. If you focus on the other part grows. It's all watering the weeds or watering the flowers simile. So you water the flowers and you get a garden. You water the weeds and you get a rubbish dump. That's the people you live with. So anyway, and actually I'm really amazed that the monks which I live in, Venerable Radha, very great monk. You say, what, Ajahn Brahm, is that my great monk? Yes. I see all your great qualities. And all the others, some of the monks who were there, just, some of the monks who used to visit say, why did you ordain him? So why not? And when you accept people into your monastic family, it's amazing to see how they grow and how they develop and how they become wonderful people. Yeah, they're never the same. They've got their own idiosyncrasies and little ways of doing things. But you love them all. when you have that attitude to other people, like our Buddhist Society committee, our president and our, who else is here? Our events coordinator and our special events coordinator. Who else is here from our committee? Our ex-presidents. Our treasurer's in the back over there really works hard. Sometimes he gets things wrong, like the insurance the other day. But we love you for that. In other words, they're not afraid of just making mistakes. When they make mistakes and they're cared for, then they don't mind working. Oh, our ex-secretary over there. Very nice to see you. Little by little, the people grow. That is the strength of our Buddhist community. Not criticizing one another. Learning how to love ourselves. Make peace with ourselves. Understand ourselves and grow. Listen to all our faults and all our good qualities. We do them with other people. It's a wonderful, friendly, beautiful society. One last story. Again, just to make the point. I thought of this just at the very beginning there when thinking that this is a safe place. How many places can you come to where you're not criticized or asked for things? And then this meditation beginning at 7:30. This woman lay down, feet pointing towards the Buddha, which is a bit of a no-no, but it doesn't matter. All the time, many times people's feet have been pointing at the Buddha. I've never seen the Buddha complain once. It depends why you're doing it. But anyway, this particular one was laying down just over there somewhere. And not just laying down during the meditation, he started snoring really loudly. Really snoring. And then somebody woke her up. And I was so disappointed. Just leave her alone, let her sleep and snore. Because she talked to me beforehand. This was many years ago. She was a victim of some very, very cruel domestic violence. So she came here, taught, and what could she do? Maybe do a bit of meditation. She came in here, but she fell fast asleep. She said afterwards that was the first time in so many months she felt safe enough to sleep. Imagine that. You go to bed at night, or you just, you try to protect yourself. You don't know someone's going to come and just hit you. I said, no, please. If ever that happens again, if somebody lays down and wants to go to sleep, please let them. You don't know why. Most people who come here, they respect the place. But that kindness when you love another person, to open the door of your heart to them, to embrace them with all their, whatever they do. To me that's so important. And that's why you can learn how to do that to yourself. Have a beautiful, wonderful, happy time. Okay, I better stop talking and answer some questions now, otherwise I'll keep going on. So thank you all for listening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And if you want to know what the word sadhu means, it means awesome. Awesome, yeah. It's a pretty good translation. Okay. The questions from overseas. Okay, from Indonesia, Portugal, and Lithuania. My book was translated into Lithuanian. Open the door of your heart. Indonesian, there's many translations of that, Portugal. Anyway, from Indonesia. I know you teach us that bad times too will pass, but when bad times keep coming like ocean wave, how do we react to that? What do people in Australia do with ocean waves? Surf. In other words, you ride the waves. And sometimes those waves, if you fight them, you fall in. If you learn to go with those waves, you tend to actually to float. And one of those stories, I read about that in my book a long time ago, there was one of my friends, a monk, he was from New Zealand, and he went, they call it tramping. Is that right? Tramping, I think. He was just going for walks in the wilderness areas with one of his old schoolmates. So he was still a monk, his mate was a lay person. So they'd walk for a long time, a very hot day, and they came to this isolated beach. And beautiful, like it was idyllic. So there was no one around. So they decided to go for a swim. So they had no bathers or anything, so they just went in there, with bare awareness, and then, bare awareness, no clothes on. Anyway, but in that particular area, that beach, there was one of these terrible currents, like a rip current. And he got caught in it, his friend didn't, but he got caught in it, and he was being drawn out into the sea. A very, very strong current. And apparently many people had died on that beach. He didn't know about that. But what he did was both wise and also very courageous. As the current was taking him further and further from the shore, he relaxed. He let go. He didn't fight the current. He realized afterwards, if he fought that current, he'd have still been taken away to the same place, far from shore, but he would have been exhausted. So instead he just relaxed to the max, and when he could do something to fight the current, in other words to swim, he started, and he was a long way away, could hardly see the shore. At that point he started swimming, when the current was not so strong. And of course he made it to the shore, that's why he could tell the story. He was just so exhausted. But because he knew when to let go, when bad things happened, just relax. And then when good things are there, you can take advantage of them. Bad times keep coming like an ocean wave. Yeah, but the ocean wave goes in and goes out again. And times do change. That's one thing you can always guarantee to people. You'll have your good times in life and your bad times. And when the good times come, don't think, oh, life is wonderful now, it's a wonderful good time, and think it's always going to be like this. One of my greetings to people, you've heard me say this at Bodhinyana Monastery, I say, how are you today? I say, I'm very good. I say, it won't last. This is true, so enjoy the nice times when you have them. Make the most of them. And when they just disappear and it's bad times, it won't last. You do much better in life that way. So, even stone can break by water too. Yeah, stone can break by water, but it takes a long time for a stone to break by water. But how do you react to it? It does pass. And when it does pass, please remember there was bad times, difficult times, but you got through them. Remember, so the next time you have a bad time, remember it does pass. You know the light at the end of the tunnel. From Portugal, would you get a chance to be reborn to be a human being again if you commit suicide? Yep. I know some people who have got reborn again, committed suicide, but it's not a good thing to do to commit suicide. The reason is you can't really commit suicide in Buddhism. I say that because as soon as you kill yourself, you're still there. The body's gone, but your mind is still there. And the main problem is not your body. The main problem is your mind and the negativity. So, would you be a chance to be reborn to be a human being again if you commit suicide? There was, some years ago, there was a gentleman who, he came to Bodhinyana Monastery during our range retreat, not supposed to go out anywhere. He came there one evening. It was a emergency. He'd woken up that morning and found his son, 17-year-old, at the end of a rope on the veranda. His 17-year-old son had committed suicide. And he was desperate, and one of the things he asked was, will my son get reborn in hell? That's what he thought. And so, to make the point, I sort of told him, well, your son, he was about to do the end of school exam, the end of year 12 exams. I said, what type of student was he? He said, he was a very, very good student. And I asked and said, well, how many papers would he do? He said about 5, 6 papers or something, or 6 subjects, 5 subjects I think it was. And how many papers in each subject? Maybe 2 papers in each subject. They didn't know what I was talking about, but they had confidence in me that to actually keep listening. So that's 10 papers, 10 exams. And how many questions in each exam? Well, let's say 8 in each exam, so 80 questions. What would happen to him if 79 of those questions were really good answers on his papers, but 1 question he really made a mess of? Would he still go to university? 79 perfect answers and 1 stupid answer? I said, yeah, of course. So that's your son. He's lived a very good life. He's been a good son, a very kind, very caring, not done anything wrong or bad. So in his life so far, 79 beautiful answers, and he's made a mess of the last answer. Does that mean he can't go to a beautiful rebirth? And it was wonderful that the family got it, they understood it. And they said, just because you do one bad thing, you don't define a life by its ending. What else happened in that person's life? That is also really, really important. So if you make a mistake at the end by doing something silly like committing suicide, it's not going to stop you from having good rebirth. Because all the other things you did in life, they also matter. But anyway, if you do commit suicide, it's not a very nice thing to do. It's of your poor parents and friends and relations, so they get upset. And it's also the whole idea of like death. Usually, if those of you don't come either tomorrow or on Sunday to Bodhinyana Monastery, I always have to make the announcement. I haven't made it now yet, but please, during our rains retreat, please don't die. If you want to die, please wait till after the rains retreat is finished, because if you die, then we'll have to come out to do your funeral service, and that's really disturbing our meditation. That's not good karma for you, so please wait. Please wait until after the rain retreat is over, and then you can die whenever you want. That's only just joking around, because you can't choose, can you? It just happens. Except, suicide. So don't do suicide, it's a stupid thing to do. Will human beings definitely be reborn as human beings after we die, even if we have not reached Nibbana? Not always. You can get reborn as a heavenly being, or maybe even an animal. Do you want to be reborn as an animal? One of my friends years ago told me this story. He said, when he dies, he wants to be reborn as a dog. He said that. Now, for anyone in Asia getting reborn as a dog, what on earth do you want to be reborn as a dog for? He said, Ajahn Brahm, listen to me. This is logical. Dogs don't have to get up on Monday morning and get dressed and go to work. You don't have to worry about going in the traffic. The dogs stay at home all the time. Dogs, they don't have to worry about what to eat because they're fed every time. They don't have to worry about whether they've got enough health insurance. Their family owners will look after them. And the dogs would just go out for a nice walk every morning, and they go and sleep whenever they want. So dogs have a stress-free life. How many of you have a life as stress-free as a dog? I can put my head up. So he said, I want to be a dog, because I don't like going to work and having all this stress and being judged, and people just pat me on it. And I said, yes, but there's one thing you've left out, I said to this fellow guy, because I knew him. He said, when you're born as a dog in a place like Western Australia, after a few weeks, you have to go to the vet to get desexed. And then he went quiet for a while, said, okay, I don't want to be reborn as a dog. That was the end of that idea. Anyway, from Lithuania. Is it possible to be happy without money in this Western world? I'm not referring to being a monk. Oh, why not? Ajahn Chah once made this prediction years and years and years ago. He said that soon the Western world will run out of paper to print money. And it won't use plastic, because plastic is very difficult to deal with. And it won't have any metal for the coin, so they have to find something else to use for currency. So he said he predicted that in the future, not having paper or metal or plastic, they'll use something natural. They'll use chicken poo. No, chicken shit. I'm not allowed to say shit here, but I did it again. They'll use chicken poo. And so you go to work, and you get so happy that your boss calls you in and says, today you can get more chicken poo. You get a raise in your salary. And you go to the bank, to put the chicken poo, in your account. And the ATM, not automatic teller machine, automatic manure machines, to see how much manure you want out. And you go to the shop, and how many pellets of chicken shit is that? And there's 6 for an ice cream or something. And the IMF will become the International Manure Fund. He made all these, and he said that people will be fighting over who's got the most chicken shit, and the governments will be really concerned about the chicken shit problem in their economy and whether they can pay all their bills. What's the difference between money and chicken poo? It's only paper. It's just the value you give to things, isn't it? So anyway, yeah, you can have some money or not have any money. Possibly happy without money in this Western world. I'm not referring to being a monk. Yes, you can. You can be happy in this Western world without being a monk, without any money, if you're a nun. Or if you hang out in a monastery. Yeah, you can, I reckon. Any questions from my audience here before I finish? Oh, you got some more questions over there? No. So you got no questions? Okay, so we can finish off, and then you can all line up with your questions. It always happens every time. So now we can actually pay respects to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. And again, those of you who wish to come on Sunday, we decided really not to advertise it because we don't want you have too many people. Actually, the COVID is not really much of a problem anymore, and apparently the weather forecast looks good. There's a big, heavy rainstorm in the afternoon. Is that right, Prem? Yes, but not in the morning when we do our ceremony, which is good. So we can do our ceremony over in Bodhinyana Monastery and have lots of people. And when I get tired, I will make sure the rain comes and drives everyone away so we can take a rest. You don't have to do much cleaning up, just pull all the tables and the plates outside and the rain will take care of it. Is that good? No, maybe not. Okay, let's pay respect to Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Suakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. How many people do we line up? A dozen? About. Very good.